Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, this is from Zeno.net. Everyone here knows that I am obviously not a Marty Rathburn fan, but I'm just going to read this, and I want us all to keep in mind that children are required to do the things that are talked about here. The New York org, India and Join Nirvana, has given us techniques which are guaranteed to glue a thetan to a body as though riveted and tied with iron bands. Marty arranged for me to go to the org to get my grades rehabbed or checked. I don't know who this is writing it. Oh, it's from a book called Inside Scientology Dianetics by Robert Kaufman. Marty arranged for me to go to the org to get my grades rehabbed or checked. You know, like a child would be required to do this as well. In a certificate attesting to my release on grade 4. The New York org had expanded and now occupied most of the second floor of a midtown hotel. The reception room was dominated by a book counter and an enormous godlike portrait of L. Ron Hubbard. God's face, raised at a visionary angle toward the horizon, looked rather bloated and truculent. The place seemed a bit mad with young people. This is what tipped me off. You know what young people are called, you guys? Young people are called children. They're called children. More proof of child laboring, more proof of child trafficking. The place seemed a bit mad with young people dashing about in the cultists' peculiar state of militant ecstasy. I mean, I can appreciate the writing, but let's just talk about what it really is here. A young auditor. You know what else that would be called, you guys? You know what a young auditor would be called? A young auditor would be called a child. So this is more evidence of child auditors. Unlawful child auditors. A young auditor came over and escorted me to a cubicle. He started to rehab my grades, checking out on the meter the moments of release. His machine-tooled mannerisms put me off. No fatherly instinct, I guess. He had only one way of acknowledging a buttery, unctuous thank you in a light nasal voice. Each thank you an insincere sounding replication or replica of the last. Notice there's no paternal instinct here. You notice that? Most men would want to protect the child, but not him. Facing him in the cramped cubicle, I had difficulty remembering anything about my previous auditing. He seemed to be running into sticky action on the meter. I hadn't wanted to go to the org in the first place, and the machine was probably registering that fact. After 20 unpleasant minutes, the auditor, you know, the child auditor, you guys, The child auditor led me to a room not much larger than the cubicle. A sign above the door said ethics. Listen to the nonchalance of this writing, you guys. Just listen to it. A girl with pigtails and a businesslike air sat at her desk fiddling with an e-meter. More demonstration of child labor and child trafficking. Like the way this is written, it's like everyone seems to be oblivious. They're not oblivious. They're just ignoring it. That's why they hide it so well. Pick up the cans. I'll have to do a search and discovery. Mind you, we're talking about the little girl with pigtails. She said brusquely, presumably I had done something wrong. Are you connected to a suppressive person? I wonder what sect check this is. No, I replied. How could I be? I'd already been through that process with Marty. Thank you. I'll check that on the meter. You don't have to reply. I wish I could do a child's voice. That would be real creepy. Are you connected to a suppressive person? That's clean. Are you connected to a suppressive group? There's a read on that. What do you consider it could be? I didn't know what was causing the read, but had no intention of trying to get by ethics. With the naive hope of fooling the meter, I searched my brain for an answer. I used to get to a Zen center for meditation. Thank you. Is this the suppressive group? I do a little yoga occasionally. Okay, put down the can, she said. You know, the little girl. You'll have to stop mixing practices as long as you're being audited. Why should I? I don't do that much meditation or yoga anyway. What harm could they possibly be? Look, when you finished auditing, you can stand on your head if you like, but not while you're being processed. I don't want you doing anything that'll confuse you about what you owe your gains to. Meditation is a kind of looking into your mind, isn't it? Don't you guys wonder how old this little girl was? Maybe when you've done it for a while, but I haven't. You're mixing practices. You'll have to promise to give those other ones up if you want your grades rehabbed. Do you guys know how sad this is? Did he call the little girl sir, too? Wait a minute. Practices could apply to a lot of other things. We'd have to go over my whole day from morning to night to figure out what I can do and what I can't. But I'm willing if you have the time. Say, are you going to stop mixing practices or aren't you? I'm not giving up anything without a better reason than that. Okay, then we'll just have to check it. Great, I said, getting up to leave. It's just too bad you choose to give up total freedom. Ethics said vindictively as I went out the door. Imagine that in this guy's mind, he's thinking that him being like kind of going against this girl, that he's not doing anything wrong. Like I've never seen adults so clueless in my life. Never. Marty phoned me to see how things had gone. When I told him of the disaster, he asked me to write it up so he could launch an investigation of ethics at the org. I sent him an account concluding with certain people within the organization. Notice he doesn't name anyone. Certain people within the organization itself are abusing Scientology and using Scientology to abuse others. I never heard further of my visit to the New York org or of Marty's investigation. In October of '67, while the Lancias were still away, I gave my town hall debut. The attending music critic, as music critics will, wrote some favorable comments, phrased so that my performance came off as rather undistinguished. Next day, a cousin of mine, who had come up to New York for the recital, related a strange story. During intermission, a man approached him and his party and said, "That pianist owes this concert to me and the group I represent." My cousin's description of the man fitted Marty Mussorgsky. Marty himself showed up at Lancia's apartment a couple nights later. I confronted him with my cousin's story, and Marty, always ready to whip out his e-meter, audited me on my possible ARC, affinity, reality, communication, break, with himself and my definite ARC break with the music critic. He charged me no fee for this, so apparently I mistook this Marty for a different. I was thinking Marty Rathburn. Several nights later, Marty phoned. "Look, there's still charge on your concert," he said. "Take a cab up to Empress Green's, Felicia's friend's apartment. Be there in 20 minutes. I have to catch a plane." Within half an hour, I was seated in the kitchen of an apartment near Columbia University, being run through an impromptu or coffeehouse session, again at no cost. Marty decided that my Dianetics levels weren't flat. I don't recall the engrams. I obligingly served up for him, except that even at the time, I thought they sounded like sheer fantasy. It wouldn't have been a real Marty session without some craziness, and by this time I felt like masking my own contribution. I enjoyed Marty's freewheeling spirit in an unusual sort of way.